Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we've got the Austrian Grand Prix. We will be going racing in 30 minutes times. All of the cars are on the grid right now, and we've got our little pre-race show to talk about everything going on in the paddock before lights out. So everyone that is tuned in already, we've got 280 people. Thank you everyone for tuning in so early to the stream. And yeah, here we go then. So we have, from the sprint race yesterday, we've got Verstappen, Leclerc and Sainz as our top three. And we've got George Russell in fourth. He's done a solid job there, maintaining that fourth position in the sprint race. Sergio Perez, of course, went up 8 positions, started in 13th, went up all the way up into 5th. He had an absolutely brilliant sprint race. And hopefully he will be able to overtake George Russell at the start, and then we'll get some Ferrari versus Red Bull action at the front. Then we got Esteban Ocon in 6th position. He had a engine issue, in fact, that happened on the after he crossed the line on the race yesterday. He crossed the line, finished the race, but then on the lap that he was going back to the pits, he had an engine issue. Yeah, not great for Alpine's reliability. And then we've got Fernando Alonso, who couldn't even start yesterday's race because of the fact that he had an engine issue. It was an electrical fault, and they've replaced most of the engine components for Fernando Alonso's car. So, yeah, Esteban Ocon and Fernando Alonso, their engines haven't been particularly reliable. They are pretty quick, matching the Mercedes and the Ferraris, but yeah, reliability is key. And getting grid penalties is not ideal. Fernando Alonso was going to start in last place anyway, so he's took a fresh set of PU components. And we have Valtteri Bottas starting from the pit lane because he is getting a brand new engine. So that is the little engine penalty situation of this weekend. Valtteri Bottas I think he's getting a new power unit because he had issues. What race was it? I think it was Baku. I'm not sure, but yeah, he needed new engine components, and you can overtake in Austria, so this was probably a suitable race to take it at. Because yeah, the overtaking opportunities are very frequent indeed. There's only 6 real corners, and at 3 of them you can make overtakes. So yeah, it's pretty it's very nice for sure when it comes to overtaking around this circuit. We also have the 2 Haas drivers in 7th and 8th position. That would be great to see them scoring double points. Well, I'd love to see them score double points. We'll have to wait and see if they can keep that pace up in the race. Yesterday, of course, we had that great battle between Hamilton and Schumacher, and they were battling it out in the for that 8th place spot. And it was great to see. Well, it was great to see that battle there. But Mick Schumacher was in fact quite angry at the end of the race, mainly because of the fact that he told Kevin Magnuson, well, he told the team to tell Kevin Magnuson to slow down, to give him DRS, and that means because he had DRS, Hamilton wouldn't be able to overtake him. The team didn't tell Magnuson, or Magnuson didn't listen. I'm not sure exactly what happened. But yeah, so Mick Schumacher wasn't particularly happy with the Haas team yesterday, and he actually was faster than Magnuson for part of the race, and he felt that he could have overtaken him, but he didn't because of team orders, I guess. So we'll wait and see what Mick Schumacher can do. Will he overtake Hamilton at the race start, or will Hamilton go up? Yesterday's race start, Hamilton actually had one of the worst race starts out of everyone. He lost 2 positions, and most people gained quite a few. Well, Hamilton was one of the few drivers at the top of the grid that lost positions. There were drivers at the bottom that lost positions as well, but Hamilton, I think one of the only drivers in the top 10 that lost more than 1 position at the race start. So not ideal there. Hopefully he can improve on that. And yeah, I mean, it's always a learning experience. He might have got the clutch settings wrong yesterday, and we could see him probably get a better race start today. We will have to wait and see. All right. Let's see. It will be when does the race start? Race starts in 25 minutes. The timer is up at the top of the screen. So yeah, just whenever you want to check when the race starts, that's where it is. The there are a couple of things to watch for. We've got obviously Ferrari in the hunt trying to chase down Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship, and Leclerc trying to chase down Verstappen in the Drivers' Championship. We've seen Verstappen versus Leclerc at this Grand Prix back in 2019, and my God, that racing was absolutely epic. So I would love to see that happen again. Hopefully it does. Yesterday, Verstappen edged out a 2-second gap at the start of the race and then just went straight from there. There was basically no looking back from Max Verstappen. Hopefully this weekend, from yesterday's race, Ferrari have learned something. They've maybe made some front wing adjustments and changes to the tyre pressure, and maybe can keep up with Max Verstappen. That would be great to see. And yeah, Ferrari definitely need a plan to try and get past Max Verstappen and keep him behind, because yeah, they're really going to have to push and try and get a 1-2, because we're coming up to the halfway point of the season now. And yeah, you want to have at least, it would be a great mental boost for the Ferrari team going into the summer break, of being ahead in the Constructors' Championship, or being like 2 points away or 3 points away, because yeah, it's really a mental game, especially for the drivers as well. You want to go off into that summer break on a high, and you don't want to be thinking about the fact, oh, well, now my rival is like 20 points ahead of me. How am I going to catch that gap up? So yeah, Ferrari definitely have it all to do this weekend. Hopefully they can do it. Because yeah, it will make the race a lot more exciting, as if Verstappen just doesn't run away with the lead of the race. Let me know what your predictions are in the chat. I will be reading the chat. Also, another thing to point out, that the air temperature, is 4 degrees lower than it was yesterday. And that's going to mean pretty much no overheating issues. And that also means the racing is probably going to be closer, because of the fact that the colder air means you can push for longer without your car overheating. And yeah, that will help the racing. Let's see. Does the summer break start after the season, after this race? No, it does not. We've got the race in France and then the race in Hungary, and then we have the summer break. So yeah, 2 more races till the summer break, but nevertheless, I mean, you've got to close up that gap somehow. You've got to start. You probably want to start now, because the gap between Verstappen and Leclerc is currently 44 points. Leclerc on 145 and Max Verstappen on 189. So yeah, we really do. Well, they really want to close that gap up as soon as possible. And for the Constructors' Championship, the gap is around about 60 points now. So 62 to be exact. And yeah, Ferrari still have quite a bit of catching up to do. With now, I think it's 20 how many races is it, with 11 races left to go. Yeah, so after this point, it is the halfway point of the season at the end of this race, and we will wait. We'll find out how that we'll find out how that goes. Where's F? You're back. How did your exams go? My exams, I had 12 of them, and 11 of them went well, so I'd say that's pretty good. And yeah, well, I've got to wait to get my results, but yeah, as far as I can tell, they were all right. So yeah, we've also got track limits to watch out for. So the FIA will give you an immediate 5-second time penalty if you exceed track limits more than 3 times at any corner, I think. So yeah, 3. If you exceed track limits more than 3 times at any corner, you're going to get, 2 times you'll get a black and white flag, and if you do it again, then you get a 5-second time penalty. So you got to be careful. You won't get a penalty if you do get pushed off by a track, or pushed off by another driver, or if you're racing them. But of course, it is rather... I mean, the thing is, you gain time by going off the track, but a 5-second penalty is rather harsh, because you definitely don't gain 5 seconds of time by going off the track 3 times. But yeah, I mean, FIA want to be strict on the rules, so it is what it is. Also, another thing to point out, we have the hard C3, medium C4, and soft C5. So that's the softest tyres in the Pirelli range. And Pirelli have still predicted a one-stop strategy for today's race. It is quite crazy, to be honest, how they're going to do a one-stop for 71 laps of racing around Austria. There are a couple of high-speed corners, couple medium speed, couple low speed, but yeah, those high-speed corners are very taxing on those tyres. I don't know how the drivers are going to do a one-stop strategy. It will be very tough indeed for tyre management. So Pirelli's expected predicted strategy is start the race on the medium tires, and then after you've done, I think it's 25 laps. Let me just double check what Pirelli have said. So Pirelli have said, yep. So you do from 24 to 32 laps on the medium tires, and then you pit onto the hard tires, and then you do the remainder of the race on those tires. And then the opposite strategy, which is nearly just as quick, you start the race on the hards and then go onto the medium. So you just flip it the other way around. And then the other strategy, like the as quick as kind of, is if you start the race on the hard tires and then switch onto the soft tires. It might be actually a very good strategy to start the race on the hard tires, because what you could do is, say if there isn't a safety car at the start of the race, but maybe there is like a safety car halfway through the race or something, you can pit off those hard tires, go onto the mediums, and then you've done your pit stop, you've got a different set of tires, like a different compound of tires, and then you can go to the end of the race from there. And if you get a late safety car, you can just be on those hard tires for the entire race and then switch onto the soft towards the end, and that could definitely catapult you up the field. But of course, you're relying on a late safety car or a safety car in the middle of the field, which is yeah, I mean, the odds are 50-50. In the previous 7 years of racing, there's been 50% of the races have had safety cars. So, yeah, 50-50 chance of getting a safety car this weekend. But, yeah, we will have to wait and see. Maxim Humet has asked if a driver gets a penalty for going off 3 times and then goes off the track again. I don't think they'll get, like, if they go off the track a 4th time, they won't get another 5-second time penalty. It'll just reset. So they have to go off the track 3 times and then a 5-second time penalty, 6 times and then another 5-second time penalty, 9 times and then another 5-second penalty. But yeah, so the FIA being rather strict with those rules, but yeah, I mean, the racetrack is defined by the white line, and if you extend past the white line, you are technically extending the track, which is against the rules. So yeah, there we go. Also, just so you guys know, the amount of time you lose in the pit stops. So if you go to do a pit stop, you will lose 20 seconds compared to a driver who's just doing a normal lap. So if there are undercuts and overcuts, I will mention it when there is like a little pit stop battle going on, but 20 seconds under green flag conditions and 12 seconds under safety car or virtual safety car conditions. So that is that. Also, we've nearly got 1,500 people watching. That's absolutely insane. I mean, the race is still 15 minutes away from starting, and we've got so many people watching. If you could smash that like button, it would be very much appreciated. And if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to do that as well. And I look forward to commentating this race for you guys. Also, from the FP2 sessions yesterday, we got some race pace simulation data, and the F1 team has gone through that data and put together a little graph. So I will read it out to you. The fastest race pace that we have is the Red Bulls. They have the fastest race pace out of all the teams. Ferrari is half a tenth behind them per lap. Half a tenth is really not that big of a gap. And you've got to remember, if the Ferraris can stay within DRS range, you get about a tenth or 2 tenths, or maybe even 3 tenths from DRS around this circuit, because there are 3 DRS zones. So that gap between Ferrari and Red Bull pretty much identical. So if as long as they can stay within DRS range, I have a feeling their race pace is going to be identical, and we will get some very good battles indeed. And then we've got the Mercedes, which is 7 tenths behind the Red Bull. So Mercedes, they are 3rd fastest, but yeah, still quite a ways off the Red Bull and the Ferraris. And also another thing to point out is that the FIA, they have changed a technical regulation in the new rules in 2022. They found like a small loophole. I think Ferrari found a loophole, maybe Red Bull, but Matteo Binotto definitely admitted to the fact that they found this loophole. And the loophole, I'm not sure exactly what the loophole was, but it's referring to a titanium skid block at the bottom of the car. And when the F1 cars go drive like Bahrain or Abu Dhabi, you can see all the sparks flying everywhere. That's actually from the titanium skid block that's on the bottom of the car. And the thing is, what they've done is they've somehow, using that rule loophole, they've allowed the floor to bend more than it should have, bend more than what the FIA wanted. And that means your floor can get closer to the ground. And if you can get closer to the ground, you get a way more downforce. And this rule change is coming into effect at Belgium. So the race after the summer break. So the Ferrari team do have to get a new floor to fit the regulations. And we could see Ferrari and Red Bull maybe lose a tenth or two in terms of pace. They're not going to go dropping all the way to the back of the field because it's not like a super massive loophole like a double diffuser or anything like that. But you do lose a tenth or two every single lap due to that if you get rid of the bendy floor. So we could see the Ferraris and the Mercedes and the Red Bulls getting closer and closer when we get to the second half of the season after the summer break. So there we go. All right, Nebula X says the national anthem is happening. Thank you for the update. Do appreciate it. My TV feed is 1 minute behind the actual race. So if there is any crashes, it'll take me a minute to actually work out what's happened. Or I will probably just be able to tell from the map. Usually it's pretty obvious. Also, everyone that is subscribing, thank you so much. We're currently 2,000 subscribers away from the goal. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so. We've got 2,000 people watching, so we'll be getting rather close to that indeed. Okay, so let's get to the talking about the rest of the race pace simulations. I might as well talk about that. So we've got Alpine, McLaren, and Alfa Romeo all within a tenth of each other in terms of race pace, and then we have the Haas's and AlphaTauris, which are pretty much identical on race pace. But looking at the actual standings, we've got Haas in 7th and 9th, and then we've got the AlphaTauris in 14th and 16th. So I don't know how accurate that exactly is, but it might be the Haas's were just quicker in quali and the AlphaTauris weren't that quick in quali. So we'll wait and see. And then it says Aston Martin and the Williams are pretty much identical on race pace. And there they are at the back of the field. So not great for them. Hopefully they can get up and score some points, but we'll have to wait and see. Wow, look at that. The subscribers just jumped about 20. Everyone that did subscribe, very much appreciated. All your names that are popping up, that's because your account's public. If your name isn't popping up, it's because your account's private. But nevertheless, thank you very much indeed. We've got Valtteri Bottas starting from the pit lane because he has got a brand new power unit like Fernando Alonso. So he will be right from the back of the field, and we will... hopefully we'll be able to see his progress. We'll see Alonso and Bottas battle their way through the field, and that will be very exciting indeed to watch. One thing to point out, Otmar Safnauer, the team principal of Alpine, he was previously the team principal of Racing Point, but now he's the team principal of Alpine. He has said that the Alpine, they think, is the fourth fastest car. So, looking at Ocon's pace, fourth fastest car seems about right. They're behind the Ferraris, Red Bulls, and Mercedes. So, we're expecting Fernando Alonso to potentially catch up to his teammate. If he's got the fourth fastest car, then I expect some solid overtakes there from the Spaniard. And I look forward to commentating them because we know Fernando Alonso is very good at racing indeed, very fair, and very well. The racing with Fernando Alonso is always very close as well, which is lovely. Chance of rain was 20% for the start of the race, but looking at the TV feed, there is no rain in sight. So we're 11 minutes away from the race start, and none of the clouds have started spitting raindrops. All right. So we should be expecting a dry race start, which will be which is what we want really. Well, actually, I don't know. A wet race start might actually be pretty interesting. But yeah, still have to wait and see. Also, another thing to point out, Lewis Hamilton is the only driver that has not had a DNF in the entirety of this season. So, yeah, Lewis Hamilton being extremely consistent. Well, it doesn't have to be consistent, but Lewis Hamilton not DNFing for the entire season. So that's 11 races, and every other driver has had at least one DNF, and Lewis Hamilton has reached the end of every single Grand Prix. All right. Let's see, we're 10 minutes away from the race start. I will take you through the starting grid and take you through a lap of Austria as well, 5 minutes before we get the formation lap. What was the other thing I was going to talk about? What was it? Oh, I'm just having that thing where it's like, I just forgot what I was going to say, but... Oh yes, it was this. So on the grid, because the racing line on the start-finish straight is on the left-hand side, the left-hand side of the grid has way more grip than the right-hand side of the grid. And we have Max Verstappen. Well, we have any driver that has an odd number on their grid position have a lot more grip because they're starting on the left-hand side of the grid. They will have way more like traction off the line compared to the drivers with even numbers on the their grid position because they're on the right hand side, of course. So if your driver is on the left hand side and has got an odd starting position, then yeah, it's great for them. And we will wait and see. It says lap 1 out of 71 because technically everyone's done they've done their install lap, so that's why it says 1 out of 71. But yeah, don't worry about that. All right. Who is my favourite team? My favourite team is, well, my favourite driver is Sebastian Vettel, and I guess that makes my favourite team Aston Martin. So, yeah, Aston Martin is my favourite team. So, let's go racing then. Let's see. Lewis Hamilton's car has been fixed. Yeah, Lewis Hamilton's car had a slight bit of an issue, but they had some issues on the front brakes, but his car's been fixed, so that should be all right. Yeah, they've put the front wing back on, and Lewis Hamilton's getting in the car. So he had some issue on his front brake, and they fixed that out. DRS trains, there definitely will be some DRS trains. We'll wait and see what happens there. All right, so Christian Horner has said, so this is just a direct quote from Christian Horner, I think it's going to be a very tight race with the Ferraris today. We saw yesterday that Max was able to break the DRS, and now we have Checo in the fight today, but he needs to clear George quickly. It's all about working as a team and doing the best we can collectively to get ahead of the Ferraris today. I think we want to run our fastest race because I think we've got a quick race car here and you can overtake. So, yeah, Christian Horner also thinks that it will be very close indeed between the Ferraris and the Red Bulls. So we will wait and see. Also, this is a rather interesting stat here, but out of all of the Formula One racing that has happened at the Red Bull Ring, the last 165 laps of racing around the Red Bull Ring every single lap has been led by Max Verstappen in the last 165 laps. So that is very crazy indeed. And the only drivers to win at this circuit are Verstappen, Hamilton, and Bottas on this grid. So, yeah, will we see a new first-time winner? Will we see Charles Leclerc or Carlos Sainz getting this race win, or will it be Max Verstappen once again maintaining that advantage of just winning every single race here at the Red Bull Ring? He's got, out of the last 6 races we've had here, I think Verstappen has won 4 or something. It's some crazy stat though. Verstappen is very good around the Red Bull Ring, and of course he would be since his car is called a Red Bull Racing Formula One car. So yeah, Red Bull obviously have an advantage since it is their home race, and they've done their testing, and I think filming day around here as well. And yeah, All right, Lando Norris has said in an interview that we're aiming to finish in the points and it's not going to be easy. He thinks that they have slightly better pace than the Haas cars. And the other thing, and he's also pointed out that Fernando Alonso is starting from the back, but his aim is to get a double points finish for the McLarens. They're in 10th and 11th now, and hopefully we can see them move up a couple of positions in the pecking order. But yeah, we're getting rather close now to lights out, 5 minutes to be exact. And we will have the formation lap and then we will have the actual race. Also, guys, we've got 3,500 people watching. If you guys could smash the like button, that would be very much appreciated. It really just helps the stream. It tells the YouTube algorithm that you're enjoying the stream and then it recommends it to a bunch of other people. And then we have more people in the chat. So it is very lovely and very helpful of you if you have smashed the like button. Hello, C. Paul and Game of Fabulously King. Nice to see that you guys are back. And yeah, so here we go. I don't know what's happened there to the GPS tracker and why Verstappen's just randomly in the middle of the track, but that will fix itself once they get on the formation lap. So here we go then. The track is dry. It is a 2.7 mile long circuit, is the Red Bull Ring. We've got 10 actual corners, but in reality, we've only got 7 real corners. So we've got turn number 1 here. It's you brake around about the 70 meter mark or so, and then yeah, just hit the brake, shift down probably to 4th gear, and then just try and get a good exit out for this long straight here. You've got DRS going down that straight. That's the second DRS zone of the circuit, and then going up into turn 3. It's an uphill braking zone, so braking is significantly easier. But then once you reach the apex of the corner, once you reach that apex, it's a sort of a brow of a hill because you're going uphill. You reach like the point where the hill starts going downhill, and you actually lose quite a significant amount of grip once you go over that little bump. So it'll be interesting to see, does anyone spin there? Do we have any crashes because people are underestimating or misestimating the grip that they have at that corner? And then going down, you've got obviously turn number 4. Well, you've got the DRS zone before turn number 4. We've got the speed trap there as well. I will be telling you about the top speed data, but most drivers are around about 320 kilometers an hour going down the straight when they have DRS activated. Turn number 4 is a downhill braking zone, so the downhill makes the braking a lot harder than usual. Locking up is very easy. We saw Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz do it in practice sessions. And then turn number 4 as well, you've got to be very careful with when you're actually overtaking there, because if you try and overtake around the outside, the other driver is allowed to just completely close the door on you, and there is no fault of that whatsoever. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens there. Which drivers get like completely the door closed on them, which drivers be aggressive, which drivers don't. But turn number 4, very good overtaking opportunity, and then you go through turn number 5, turn number 6 here. You kind of want to keep it single file, but if you have a lot more grip than the other driver, say you're on softs and they're on hards, you definitely can go around the outside. We saw it back in 2020, and yeah, overtaking opportunities there overtakes that happen there are always very thrilling to watch. They've got turn 7 and 8. It's just a tiny little lift for turn 7. Flick the car in. Try not to go too wide on turn number 8, like Sergio Perez will tell you, because he got a 9-place grid drop because of that track extension at turn number 8. Then going to turn number 9 and 10, you've got track limits there. Exceed the track limits 3 times in a row. 3 times, and you will get a 5-second time penalty. So you don't want to be exceeding track limits there on the race. And yeah, you really just got to trust the car going into turn number 9, because it is so difficult. You can't really see over the hill, and you just trust the car, trust that it'll turn in, and then you go through into turn number 10, which is the final corner of the circuit. You just brake kind of early, and then make sure you get a good exit, because that's the main part, so you can get down to the finish line as soon as possible. So that is a lap of the Red Bull Ring. We've got the soft, medium and hard, the C5, C4 and C3 tires with us today for racing around the Red Bull Ring. We'll be going on the formation lap in 1 minute's time, and I shall take you through the standing grid. So starting from the top of the field, actually, we've got Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc in first and second place. They have absolutely brilliant racing history here, and we'll love to see some spicy overtakes going into turn number 3 and 4. between these two drivers. We got Sainz and Russell in third and fourth position. Neither of these drivers have won a race here, and both of them do have a pretty decent shot of winning this. We'll wait and see what they can do there. We've got Perez in fifth position. He's looking to overtake George Russell as soon as possible. And then we've got Esteban Ocon in sixth position there in that Alpine, trying to hold position and keep that fourth fastest car crown for the Alpine car. Next, we've got Kevin Magnuson and Lewis Hamilton in seventh and eighth position. They're on the fourth row of the grid. Magnuson with the grippier starting side and Lewis Hamilton on the even side with less grip. We'll wait and see what he can do. Hamilton had a bad race start yesterday. Can he improve, or will he make the same mistakes? We've got Mick Schumacher and Lando Norris starting alongside each other. Mick Schumacher will be trying to overtake Lewis Hamilton and have a little bit of a battle like he did yesterday, because that was absolutely wonderful battle to watch. And then we've got Daniel Ricciardo and Lance Stroll in 11th and 12th position, both of them looking to score some points. Lance Stroll not having great weekends whatsoever. To be honest, he has been struggling. He's been knocked out of Q1 6 times in a row, so he'll be looking to bounce back, potentially score some points as well. We've got Guan Yu Zhou in 13th, Pierre Gasly in 14th. Then we've got Alex Albon and Yuki Tsunoda in 15th and 16th position, Latifi and Vettel in 17th and 18th, then Fernando Alonso in the last place on the grid, and then we got Valtteri Bottas starting from the pit lane. The drivers now going out for the formation lap. They are currently just teleporting onto the second straight. So yeah, that's just the GPS system being a little bit weird, but that will fix itself for the start of the race. All right. So this is it. The formation lap drivers now just weaving around, warming up those tyres. I will get the tyre information for you as soon as possible. And then, yeah, we will be going racing. So the tyres information is we've got Max Verstappen starting the race on the medium tyres. Well, okay, everyone is on the medium tyres except for Guan Yu Zhou, Yuki Tsunoda, Seb Vettel and Fernando Alonso. Those drivers are on hard tyres. Everyone else is on the mediums. We've got Lance Stroll on 2-lap-old mediums, and we've got Sebastian Vettel on 1-lap-old hards. Apart from that, everyone else is on fresh sets of tyres. And yeah, that is it. So we drivers now just coming around the final 2 corners. And then we have 71 laps of racing around the Red Bull Ring to look forward to. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Make sure to get some popcorn and stay hydrated and sanitize. And while you're doing all of that, make sure to smash that like button. Hopefully we can get 1,000 likes before the race even starts. We've got nearly 7,000 people watching. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and yeah, let's go then. All the drivers now just making their way to the grid, doing their final little burnouts to get as much rear tyre temperature as possible, and then we will be going racing. All right, so we've got Max Verstappen has now just come up into his grid slot and has parked his car, put his car into neutral and getting ready to build up those revs for the start of the race. So let me know what your predictions are, guys. Let me know who you think is going to crash on lap number 1. And yeah, now we're seconds away from the race start. All right, so here they go. They're being rather slow. To be honest, everyone's going pretty slowly because they want to get as much tyre temperature in. Because this is such a short lap, you might as well make the formation lap as slow as you really want. So here they go. Vettel and Alonso now just coming up to their grid positions. Track temperature is 30 degrees. Air temperature is 20 degrees. Cooler than yesterday, so overheating issues will be significantly less. But this is it now. We will have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights, and it is lights out and away we go. Going down the straight now. Leclerc's got a great start side by side with Verstappen going to turn on. Verstappen goes round the outside. Nice job there from Verstappen. Magnuson gaining positions, and we've got Russell up into third. Now Sainz gets right back past him. Never mind about that. And we've got Perez, who nearly lost the position to Magnuson, but Perez keeping it clean going through into turn number 3. Verstappen still holding that lead with Leclerc just behind them. The DRS has not been broken just yet. 7/10 is the gap though. It is extending very, very quickly, and Leclerc's going to do his absolute best to maintain that gap. We got Bottas just coming out of the pit lane now, so that's why he's right out the back. We got everyone's lost look. Oh, we've got Sergio Perez. He is out of this race. Sergio Perez is out of the race. Can we get Fs in the chat, guys? Sergio Perez is out. He's in 20th position and has spun around. Well, okay, he's not out of the race. He's spun around and he's gone all the way to last position. And yeah, Sergio Perez, who was looking to overtake George Russell, looks to be going rather slowly and probably has a bit of damage as well. So I'll let you know what's happened to Sergio Perez as soon as my TV feed gets to it. But Verstappen holding the lead of this race, and he has not extended the gap like he did yesterday. Yesterday, the gap at this point was around 1.5 seconds. It's only 1 second now. So Leclerc doing his absolute best to try and hold on to Verstappen to make sure that DRS range, make sure he doesn't get past that DRS range. The entire Red Bull ring is covered in orange smoke. We got George Russell with the fastest first sector because of that massive slipstream he got off Carlos Sainz, and Sainz actually under so much pressure from George Russell going through into turn number 4 now. Russell's Russell backs off. He does not decide to go for an overtake there on Carlos Sainz. But yeah, he was getting very, very close indeed and putting quite a bit of pressure on him. We got Esteban Ocon, in fact, who's now caught up to the battle between Sainz and Russell. And at the front, Leclerc still holding Verstappen within that DRS range. It's getting close. And I sense that Red Bull is using all of the battery that they've got, but it's going to be extremely tough to keep Leclerc, trying to get Leclerc out of that 1 second gap. There we go, Verstappen with the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 10, 5 seconds slower than quali, but considering he's got 110 kilograms of fuel, it is absolutely crazy indeed. Right, we've got Sergio Perez who's just come out of the pits. Let's see what tyres he is on. Sergio Perez is still on the medium tyres. He came into the pits and got I think he got a front wing change by the looks of it. But yeah, Sergio Perez not having a great race whatsoever. Mick Schumacher, in fact, all over the back of Lewis Hamilton. Oh, this is exactly like it was yesterday. And Mick Schumacher putting tons of pressure onto Lewis Hamilton. Going through into turn number 4, he pulls out to the right-hand side and he looks down the inside, thinks better of it though, and stays behind Lewis Hamilton just for this lap now. DRS will be enabled DRS will be enabled on this lap now. So yeah, here we go then. DRS will be enabled, and that's going to make the racing a whole lot better. Leclerc is just within that DRS range, 0.8 of a second now between himself and Verstappen. And if Verstappen can't break that gap coming out of the final corner, which by the looks of it, he has not, because Leclerc set the fastest lap of the race, we're going to get some very great overtaking battles between Verstappen and Leclerc. So here they go, coming down into turn number 3. The gap between the two drivers is 0.8 of a second. Leclerc's got DRS, and he's getting closer and closer. On this occasion, the top speed difference is absolutely enormous. I mean, Verstappen's going at 300 kilometers an hour. Leclerc's going at 320. That closing speed is absolutely huge. And yeah, Leclerc, it will only be a matter of time before we get some overtakes between those two. Going through the middle sector now, overtaking will be extremely difficult, but Mick Schumacher, what an overtake on Lewis Hamilton going through into turn number 3. I've just seen the replay, and he's just sent it down the inside, and Lewis Hamilton has done absolutely nothing. He tries to get him back going through into turn number 4, but Mick Schumacher's having none of it, and this battle is absolutely wonderful. Mick Schumacher got rather angry at the team yesterday, and I think he's channeled that anger into his racing, and here he is back past Lewis Hamilton, and he will be chasing down Kevin Magnuson to make an overtake happen there as well. We've got 10,000 people watching. If you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. It really does help out the stream, and if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to do that as well. But we've got Sergio Perez right at the back of the field now, and I think that that information is slightly wrong because I think he's on the hard tyres. I'm not sure though. We'll double check which tyres Sergio Perez is on. But yeah, I think he's on the hards, and we'll try and maybe do 70 laps of racing on the hard tyres. I mean, we know Sergio Perez is amazing on those tyres, but we will have to wait and see, can he do the entire race on one set of tyres? All right, we've got Lando Norris has overtaken Daniel Ricciardo. That might have been team orders, to be honest, because Lando Norris is usually slightly quicker than Daniel Ricciardo. But going down that straight, we've got Lando Norris in 9th position, McLaren and Daniel Ricciardo in 10th. So both the McLaren still scoring points. Hopefully they can score some more. And Lewis Hamilton stuck behind Mick Schumacher because there is a DRS train behind George Russell. We've got George Russell, Esteban Ocon, Kevin Magnuson, Mick Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, all in one long DRS train. We got Sergio Perez got spun round, I think, by George Russell. Exactly how, if you guys remember how Alex Albon got spun round by Lewis Hamilton in 2020 at this exact Grand Prix, where they were going through to turn number 4 and Lewis Hamilton clipped the right rear of Alex Albon. Exact same maneuver, just George Russell and Sergio Perez this time. So yeah, Sergio Perez got spun around and he went to the back of the field. But yeah, Mick Schumacher just breezed past Lewis Hamilton on that previous lap, and Lewis Hamilton has got absolutely nothing that he can do. So great job there from Mick Schumacher. Right. Battle at the front, Verstappen and Leclerc. Gap is held within 1 second. So Leclerc is still getting closer. I think both of them are recharging their batteries, looking at their lap times, not setting personal bests or anything. But both of them now will be doing some time management, and Leclerc will be trying to get as close as he can to Max Verstappen. Thing is, though, if he does get close to Max Verstappen, that means his tyres are going to start overheating and you have to pit earlier than Verstappen. And that could, well, strategy is rather difficult for Ferrari, so you don't want to make too many headaches, and we'll wait and see what happens there between the two championship rivals up at the top of the grid. All right, so the race has kind of settled down, but we do have a very long DRS train. I don't know exactly who was asking about DRS trains before the start of the race, but we've got Lando Norris, Daniel Ricciardo, Lance Stroll, Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, Yuki Tsunoda, Guan Yu Zhou, Nicholas Latifi, Fernando Alonso, and Sebastian Vettel, all in one long DRS train. That goes from 9th position all the way to 18th position. So yeah, DRS train, choo-choo. But yeah, absolutely massive DRS train there. And overtaking is going to be rather difficult. We'll wait and see what happens though. At the front, we've got the two McLarens, and to be honest, they might just be like, everyone else, how about you take a little bit of a slower pace, and we'll score some points and you guys can't make any overtakes. But yeah, they got two McLarens at the front of that DRS train, and we got George Russell at the front of the DRS train in the top 10. Verstappen and Leclerc are actually the closest they've ever been coming out of turn number 1. Gap is 0.6 of a second, and Leclerc is closing right up, going through into turn number 2. He is pretty much right on the back of Verstappen. They're nose to tail going through turn number 3. Leclerc doesn't make an overtake, and he gets a bit of a bad exit coming out of turn number 3, so he can't make an overtake into turn number 4. But that's the closest it's ever been on this entire race. We're 8 laps out of 71 now, and Leclerc getting dangerously close to Max Verstappen. Okay, so Sergio Perez, just an update. Sergio Perez is on those hard tyres. So we'll wait and see if he can do the entire race on just one set of hards, but that will be very interesting to see what strategy works out there for Sergio Perez. He's currently in 20th position, and nearly a full minute behind the leaders. He's just been lapped, in fact, by Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, and will be about to get lapped by Carlos Sainz as well. So not a good look there for Sergio Perez, getting lapped by his teammate on 8 laps into the start of the race, but he did get spun round, so that is fair enough. Once again, the gap between Leclerc and Verstappen, the same as it was last lap, and this time Verstappen got a much better exit than Leclerc, and the gap going through into turn number 3 was nowhere near close to overtaking. So that has been... but this time Verstappen gets a bad exit out of turn number 3, and Leclerc is all over the back of him going into turn number 4. DRS has been activated. He looks to the inside, does not make the move though. Leclerc playing it safe, trying to build up some pressure and force a pretty big mistake from Max Verstappen. Otherwise, we know how vicious both of these two youngsters, Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, can be when it comes to side-by-side racing. So it's better to just force another driver into a mistake than to go side-by-side and potentially lose your front wing or get spun round. All right, yeah, Checo definitely needs a safety car. And I mean, we have a 50% chance of a safety car around this circuit. In the last 7 years of racing, there has been 50% of the races have had a safety car. So we will wait and see what comes out. Do we get with such a long DRS train there from 9th to 18th position, it can only be a matter of time before one driver slows down too much, or one driver goes for an overtake, and then one of the drivers spins or something, and they're stuck in the gravel. But yeah, we will have to wait and see what happens there. I definitely can confirm Leclerc is getting closer and closer, but that dirty air is definitely eating away at his tyres. Coming out of the slow speed corners as well, he's really struggling for grip. Oh, look at this, side by side into turn number 4 now. Leclerc actually makes the move, but then Verstappen just swoops around the outside and closes the door on him. So Leclerc losing out there, going through into turn number 5. He's got a better drive off turn number 4. And yeah, still Verstappen holds that lead, and Verstappen has in fact led the last 175 laps of racing around the Red Bull Ring, including the previous races, the sprint race and the race last year and the race before that. 175 laps of racing Max Verstappen has led, and nobody else has led 175 laps since Verstappen has been leading. So very crazy indeed, very crazy stat there. And Verstappen, Hamilton and Bottas are the only 3 drivers on this entire grid that have actually won at this circuit. So will we get a new winner? Will we get Charles Leclerc overtaking Max Verstappen and potentially going on to win this race? But here we are, lap number 11 of 71, sorry. And we have got Charles Leclerc getting closer and closer. This time he brakes early, and I'm sensing that we get Charles Leclerc getting some overheating issues there. Oh, look at this. Lewis Hamilton has got a purple first sector, got a mega toe off Mick Schumacher, but the fact that he's stuck in a DRS train means that he got literally no chance of actually making an overtake, because we got Russell, Ocon, Magnuson, Schumacher, and then Hamilton. So he's got 5 cars ahead of him, just pushing air out of the way. So we get a massive slipstream. I mean, let's have a look at the top speed data. Actually, there's not a speed trap there, so it's not going to reflect anything. But yeah, point being, Lewis Hamilton got a mega slipstream of 5 cars ahead of him, set the fastest first sector, which is actually very close to some of the qualifying first sectors. Well, obviously, if you got rid of the fuel, it would be very close to the qualifying first sectors. So Hamilton setting very fast lap times indeed in this part of the race. We've got, George Russell has come into the pits. He's the first driver out of everyone to come into the pits for not an issue. 12 laps into this race. And George Russell's only done... He's only done 11 laps of racing on the mediums. Pirelli said you could do 24 to 30. So that is a third race distance on those Pirellis. And I don't know exactly what's happening to George Russell. I don't know why he's pit so early. Maybe a slow puncture, but there wasn't any contact or any debris on the track. So, yeah. But now here we go. Leclerc going through into turn number 4, side by side with Max Verstappen. And wow, what an overtake from Charles Leclerc. He finally gets past Max Verstappen and breaks Verstappen's streak of leading every single lap at the Red Bull Ring for the past couple of years, and Leclerc is now in the lead, and it is game on. Carlos Sainz is actually closing up to this battle, because the more Verstappen and Leclerc fight, the more Carlos Sainz is, the closer Carlos Sainz is going to get, and then we're going to have a 3-way fight for the lead of this race, and this is going to be absolutely epic. So we're coming on to lap number 13 of 71. Verstappen right on Leclerc's tail going through into turn number 1.
Here we go now, going down the straight towards turn number 3. Verstappen got a massive DRS and slipstream boost off Charles Leclerc. Going through into turn number 4, turn number 2, he actually backs off. I don't know exactly what Verstappen's doing, but he's all over Leclerc's mirrors and he's backed off. So very strange there. All right, we've had quite a few pit stops, in fact, so let's just go through. We've got Gasly in the pits, Ricciardo in the pits, Latifi in the pits. Maybe those medium tyres are wearing out a lot quicker than everyone else is expecting, but I don't know why everyone has pit so early. Pirelli definitely said you could do 20 to 30 laps, so I'll look if we've got any team radios and drivers complaining. Also, another thing, Charles Leclerc got a lap time deleted because of track limits, so Leclerc's going to have to watch out, otherwise he will be getting penalties very soon indeed. All right, let's listen to Daniel Ricciardo's radio.
Daniel, risk we see on front left would be braking on curbs. Take care, braking on curbs, otherwise should be okay.
All right, we could actually get a 2-stop race here, guys. 2-stop race because drivers are having issues in terms of their tyres braking on curbs. Like, that is very critical there. Like, that message that they gave to Daniel Ricciardo, that is like, if you go on the curbs, your front left could literally get a puncture. So you definitely need to come into the pits right now. And Daniel Ricciardo did so. Oh, no. Did he? Oh, he did come into the pits. It's just not updated what tyres he's on yet. But yeah, Max Verstappen has come into the pits as well. He's coming out now. He's probably going to be on those hard tyres as well, but we could see a 2-stop strategy here with medium and then hards and then hards again. That's what the strategy that we had last year, and it played out pretty well in terms of the strategy battles, and that'll be great to see. So Verstappen comes into the pits now and is out with a very quick pit stop indeed, and he's on those hard tyres. But yeah, he's only done 12, 13, 14 laps on those medium tyres. I mean, that's a very short lifespan. So, I mean, we don't know how long the hard tyres are going to last, you know? So we've got some drivers out on the hards. We've got Tsunoda, Zhou, Alonzo, and Vettel all out on the hards from the start of the race. We'll wait and see what they can do and how long they last. But we could potentially be going on to a 3-stop race if these hard tyres wear out as fast as these mediums do. We've got some team radio from Lando Norris. He's currently in 8th position. He hasn't pitted yet. So let's have a listen.
Lando, there's very little space behind us. Still only 9 seconds to Vettel, who's the back car, basically. Russell was 5 cars ahead. He's pitted. He has a 5-second penalty.
Yep, George Russell has a 5-second penalty because he crashed into Sergio Perez on the opening lap. So yeah, I forgot to tell you about that. But yeah, Russell's got a 5-second time penalty, so that's going to make it exciting. If you guys remember back to 2020, we had Lando Norris chased down Lewis Hamilton on the final laps of the race when Hamilton had a 5-second time penalty, and he went and got that podium. So if Russell's got a 5-second time penalty, we could see that happen all over again. And yeah, that would be great to see. Right, so Hamilton has overtaken both of the Hasses. In fact, I don't know how he's done that, but he got past Mick Schumacher, and he's already overtaken Kevin Magnuson as well. So maybe those medium tyres are starting to wear out for the Haas cars quicker than they are for the Mercs, but yeah, Lewis Hamilton up into 4th position, and both Hasses losing out 1 position each to the Brit. We've got Verstappen in 7th position now. He's out on hard tyres. The thing hasn't updated yet. I will just do a quick refresh, so the screen will go black on the left-hand side, but it'll be back pretty much instantly. And the drivers are getting lots of track limits warning, so I will keep you updated on the penalties and the situation about that, because yeah, it's going to be pretty difficult to keep on track of all of that. So there we go. Yeah, Hamilton just went down the inside of Kevin Magnuson, and Magnuson really couldn't do much about it. Yeah, Mick Schumacher definitely struggling. He's locking up going into turn number 4. That's a downhill braking zone, and downhill braking we know is hard, but yeah, locking up in race conditions when you're only pushing around about 90% or so, yeah, definitely means your tyres are starting to wear out very soon. We've got Magnuson who's just coming into the pits for the Haas team, and we've got Mick Schumacher who'll be coming into the pits very, very soon. The 2 Ferraris in the lead of the race look to have no tyre issues by the looks of it. We've got both Leclerc and Sainz lapping in the 1-minute 10s, and we've had Verstappen who's come out of the pits. He's also lapping in the 1-minute 10s, and he's only going marginally. He's gone 1/10 quicker on the previous lap than Charles Leclerc. So yeah, the Ferrari's not struggling from the same tyre issues that the other teams are struggling from. Maybe they're not going so aggressive on the curbs, or maybe The Ferrari is slightly lighter than the Red Bull, so maybe that's contributing to the fact they have less tyre wear. But yeah, very strange to see the drivers pitting so early. I mean, Pirelli's predictions are usually very accurate. So yeah, interesting to see that they couldn't predict it this time. We've got Ocon also coming into the pits, Mick Schumacher also coming into the pits as well. So let's have a look who hasn't pit yet. So we haven't had well, actually nearly everyone has pit other than the drivers that started the race on the hard tires, of course. So let's just go through and check who that was. But I think it was Tsunoda, Zhou, Alonso and Vettel. Let's just have a quick look. Yeah, Tsunoda, Zhou, Alonso and Vettel, all of them haven't pitted yet because they started the race on the hards. And then we've got Stroll, Hamilton, Sainz and Leclerc, who are the 4 drivers on mediums who still have yet to pit. Everyone else has pit. The tyre information just hasn't come through yet. So once it does come through, that will update itself. All right, we've got some team radio from Seb Vettel. He's currently in 9th position. Let's have a listen.
Copy that, Sebastian. Copy that. We were checking.
Right, so it looks like Vettel's got some damage. I mean, I don't know exactly where you can get damage from, but I mean, these curbs are pretty vicious around this circuit, so we'll have to wait and see. Also, we got battle between Verstappen and Hamilton on our hands here, going through into turn number 3. Verstappen all over the back of Hamilton. Hamilton defending quite hard here because well, I don't know exactly why he was defending quite hard, but he was. And Verstappen has breezed past him going down the straight. Does he fight it going through into turn number 4? Lewis Hamilton does not fight it. And Verstappen is through into 3rd position now. Okay, so just an update. What happens is once you go into the pits and it's green flag conditions and you come out, you lose 20 seconds in the pit stops. Well, you lose 20 seconds driving through the pit lane and then you lose however long your pit stop was. So the gap was... the gap between Verstappen and Leclerc was 20 seconds. Well, no, it's currently 20.3 seconds. So if Leclerc wants to come into the pits and then come out ahead of Verstappen, he's going to have to get a pit stop, which is 0.3 seconds long. And that's not happening. Not even the Red Bull pit stop crew or Guido from Cars could do that. So, yeah, Charles Leclerc is going to either have to get a move on or is going to have to accept the fact that he will come out behind Max Verstappen after the pit stops. Thing is, though, when he does come out behind Verstappen, his tyres will be a lot fresher. So, yeah, that will be a pretty big benefit for Charles Leclerc. All right. Also, guys, we've nearly got, we've just actually hit 1,000 likes, but we've got 15,000 people watching. This is actually getting very close to my, well, I mean, if we carry on at this trajectory, it's getting very close to my actual record. So if you guys could smash that like button and the subscribe button as well, hopefully we can hit 42,500 subscribers. So yeah, go ahead and like and subscribe if you are enjoying the commentary. And yeah, let's get back to it then. So we've got Mick Schumacher who's just overtaken Daniel Ricciardo. The McLaren team actually said that they thought they had faster pace than the Hasses, but here you see Mick Schumacher making an overtake on Daniel Ricciardo. Next up on Schumacher's overtaking list is Lando Norris. Also, Max Verstappen. He's done a couple of laps on those hard tyres. He's now got some fresh air. And look at that pace. I mean, that is crazy. He's set a fastest lap of the race on hard tyres. And he went quicker than Leclerc on fresh mediums. So, yeah, on Leclerc's previous lap, which was fresh mediums. Also, guys, I've just said subscribe, and that subscriber counter just went way up. So everyone that has subscribed very much is appreciated. And everyone who's also hit the like button as well, you are absolutely wonderful indeed. So a lap number 20 of 71 now, getting to getting through nearly a quarter, a bit more than a quarter of the race now. And it's looking pretty good here. Esteban Ocon just overtakes Sebastian Vettel. So Ocon now with his 4th fastest car he's now alongside his teammate, but of course, Fernando Alonso hasn't pit yet, and Esteban Ocon has. So, yeah, not great there for Fernando Alonso. I mean, if a safety car does come out, these drivers who are still staying out, they will have a very big benefit indeed. But yeah, we still for a safety car to come out, we're going to have to get some drivers to actually have a crash, which the drivers have been doing a pretty good job of not doing. They've all been racing respectfully. So Yeah, good job there. And the track limits warnings have gone significantly down. Looks like the race engineers have had a bit of a word with the drivers and be like, don't go over the curbs because it's going to ruin your tyres, and don't exceed track limits because you're going to get penalties, and the FIA are very strict about it. So there we go. Also, very big news here. We got Vettel coming into the pits. Now, this isn't that important in terms of Vettel's race, but he's done 21 laps on those hard tyres and he's coming to the pits. So that means if he's done 21 laps on the hards, so most of the drivers could probably pull it out to maybe 25 if they go drive slowly. But we know Vettel's good at tyre management. So if he's done 21 laps on those hard tyres, other drivers, if they pit now, they're probably going to do 30 laps or so because they have a lower fuel load, so less load going through the tyres. But yeah, drivers who are planning to do 50 laps or so on this, on the hard tyres, are going to struggle a lot. And that's what Pirelli predicted. In fact, Pirelli said that you could do 40 laps on the hard tyres, and if Vettel has only done 20, it's going to come out to be very, very tough indeed. So Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, they're going to have to strap in for some tyre management laps now. They're getting to the stage where their tyres are starting to wear out, and looking at those lap times, they're ever so slightly going up every single lap by half a tenth or so. And Leclerc and Sainz, previously they were lapping 1 minute 10.3, 1 minute 10.4. Now they're up to 1 minute 10.8. So yeah, the lap times are slowing down as we speak, and Verstappen's pace is consistent as ever. So yeah, they're going to have to get a move on, or they're going to have to start managing those tyres and giving them a proper good massage. Otherwise, they're not going to get to the end of this race. We've got Mick Schumacher with another fastest first sector. Looks like he got a very nice toe indeed. And yeah, I mean, look at this three-way battle for 10th place, actually. I've actually missed this, but... and Zhou and Ocon are having a great battle as well. Right, so the TV cameras have just cut to the wrong stuff, but Ocon just gets past Guan Yu Zhou going through into turn number 4. Great battle there. Just looked at the replays, and Ocon just squeezes past Zhou on the inside. Zhou, once again, on those hard tyres from the start of the race, so he's really feeling the effects of some tyre wear. We've got Verstappen with another fastest lap of the race, so yeah, his pace is increasing as that fuel load decreases. And yeah, it'll be getting faster and faster as the race goes on. We've now got... what's this? We got Alonzo versus Magnuson versus Norris versus Mick Schumacher. All three drivers very close to each other and looking very racy indeed. Lando Norris right on the back of Kevin Magnuson, in fact, going down the start-finish straight and now going on to the second straight of the circuit. Lando Norris got that DRS. Magnuson hasn't got any DRS because he fell out of Alonso's DRS range. And here comes Lando Norris now, looks down the inside, plays it safe for this on this occasion, but... yeah, he's looking very racy and getting very close to making that overtake on Kevin Magnuson there. And getting some points for McLaren, because McLaren are in desperate need. They've had a pretty torrid weekend. Their Friday session was... Friday practice was horrible. Qualifying was pretty horrible. Their sprint race improved a bit. But nevertheless, McLaren having a weekend to forget, to be honest. So that is that. We've got Ocon making an overtake on Tsunoda. So looking at this, Ocon making moves in that fourth fastest car. And the thing is, those hard tyres that Alonso, Zhou and Tsunoda are all on, they're really starting to wear out. We know that Vettel pitted. He came onto the mediums. And Tsunoda and Zhou are going to have a pretty tough time hanging out on those hard tyres. We'll wait and see what they can do, though. The gap has extended at the front. But in fact, look at this. Magnuson with a double overtake. Zhou and Alonso were too busy battling between each other, and then Magnuson just sweeps past going through into turn number 4. What an overtake. Oh, turn number 1, sorry. But nice overtake there from Kevin Magnuson. The two drivers were just caught up in their overtaking. And there we go. Norris has done the exact same thing, double overtake for him, and Guan Yu Zhou has lost 4 positions in the span of 4 corners. So yeah, Guan Yu Zhou having a horrible lap here, and his tyres are very much hit that cliff, and he's losing performance rapidly. So yeah, Guan Yu Zhou will probably be coming into the pits sometime soon. Bottas has also done his pit stop, so the only drivers yet to pit are Tsunoda, Alonso, Zhou, and then we have Hamilton, Stroll, Leclerc and Sainz. So yeah, those drivers still yet to pit. I don't know how these drivers at the front are managing those medium tyres, but yeah, it's a sight to behold. We've actually got Verstappen catching up to Charles Leclerc now. The gap was 20 seconds around about, I think it was... 8 laps ago or so, and now it's down to 15 seconds, sorry. So it's gone down by 5 seconds in 8 laps. So Verstappen getting closer and closer to Leclerc, and looking at the lap times now, he's nearly a full second faster per lap. So it'll only be a matter of time before he does catch up to Sainz and Leclerc and make some overtakes. And if he is going to do a 2-stop strategy, which by the looks of it he is, he's going to have to get past these 2 drivers and then pull out some significant gap if he does want to actually go on to win this race. And yeah. All right. Also, we've got 16,000 people watching. If we could get 2,000 likes, that would be absolutely wonderful. We're currently on 1,700. So yeah, go ahead and hit that like button. It does help out the channel a lot. And we're actually getting very, very close to this being my record stream now. If it carries on going at this rate, by the time we get to the end of the race, we will have beaten 26,000 viewers. So yeah, go ahead and smash that like button, and hopefully we can get a record. Right, Joe comes into the pits, and when he comes into the pits, he has been lapped, so that is very unfortunate indeed for Guan Yu Zhou. He comes in for his pit stop after 24 laps on those hard tyres. We've got Fernando Alonso and Tsunoda sticking it out still on those hards, and Tsunoda doing a great job, in fact, defending against Kevin Magnuson. He's got no DRS or anything, but Tsunoda putting up a very nice fight indeed against Kevin Magnuson. So going through into turn number 3, Tsunoda hits the apex very nicely. Magnuson struggling because of that dirty air. Even though he is on fresh tyres, dirty air still has an effect, and in fact the DRS has a much bigger effect, and here he is now side by side with Tsunoda going through into turn number 4, swoops around the outside. Nice overtake there from Kevin Magnuson, and yeah, solid job there. And then going through now into turn number 5 and 6 and just consolidates that lead he has on Yuki Tsunoda. We've got Charles Leclerc coming into the pits now. So he has come into the pits. He's done 20 laps on those medium tyres, and we'll see what he can do and how many. Well, he's coming out on those hard tyres for sure, and he comes out 6 seconds behind Max Verstappen. So previously, he was ahead of Verstappen. Now he's 6 seconds behind him. But Verstappen still has to build an advantage, because if he's going to do an extra pit stop, that costs 22 seconds to do an extra pit stop. And the gap currently resides at 6 seconds. So Verstappen's got to get a bit of a move on. All right. Thing is, Ferrari haven't messed up the strategy just yet, because Verstappen still has to pull out another gap. Like, the gap is 6 seconds now, but Verstappen's got to extend that gap to 22 seconds if he wants to pit and then come out. Or the thing is, he'll extend it to maybe 15 seconds and then come out behind Leclerc and then overtake him because he's got fresher tyres. But nevertheless, Verstappen has still got a very big gap to create before he does come into the pits, and it's going to be tough for him, so we will wait and see. Sainz comes into the pits as well, and we'll wait and see where Sainz comes out relative to Lewis Hamilton. In fact, Hamilton actually overtakes Sainz going through after his pit stop. So Sainz now behind Lewis Hamilton. Also, I apologize for the map slightly glitching. It's now frozen, in fact. But I think that I can't do anything about that. That's the official F1 map that I'm using. So there we go. It's fixed itself. So I apologize for that inconvenience. Also, another thing, guys, if there's anything that you want to, like, if any suggestions that you've got for the stream, put them in the chat below, because we're coming up to the summer break, and I will be trying to make some improvements to the stream. So yeah, if you've got any suggestions for how I can make the stream better, then go ahead and let me know in the chat now, and I'll endeavor to make the stream as a great viewing experience for you guys as possible. Right, Charles Leclerc, right out of the gate, in fact, sets a purple middle sector, and the middle sector's got some. It's got turn number 6, which is a pretty hefty corner on those tyres, and a fastest lap of the race straight out of the pits. So Charles Leclerc can really heat up those tyres, and I mean, Ferrari have done something good there, because those medium tyres got switched on immediately. Max Verstappen took around 6 or 7 laps to get those medium tyres up to temperature before starting to set fastest lap of the race. So yeah, nice job there from Charles Leclerc, and the gap, which was 6.8 seconds before, now it's come up to now it's come down to 4.5 seconds. So there we go. All right, Mick Schumacher has overtaken Lando Norris. So I'm just looking at the replay now, and he just went around the outside and the DRS really helped him. Lando Norris said, I had to take avoiding action because Mick Schumacher squeezed him too much, but Lando Norris was on the curb. He was getting very, very close to the curb and didn't exit the track, and Mick Schumacher left him barely enough space. He's racing very, very much like his dad, and getting very, very close, but eventually it is fair, and there was a sufficient space there for Lando Norris to stay on track, and he did so. So I will just double check about the penalty situation, but the penalties and the track limit warnings have was pretty much stopped basically. Leclerc with another fastest lap of the race, 2 purple sectors once again, and this time he goes nearly 1.5 seconds faster than Max Verstappen in 1 lap. So that gap is coming down, and it's coming down fast. We've got George Russell, who's currently in 10th place. He's coming to the pits now, and he's come out as well on hard tyres. We've got some team radio from him. Let's listen to this.
Remember to drink.
Yeah, remember to drink. In fact, you know what? I'm going to have a drink as well, and you guys remember to have a drink and stay hydrated, because it's important. Yeah. Yep, Stroll is into the pits. So Stroll was the last driver yet to pit, and every other driver has pitted. I also apologise for the fact that it's saying everyone's done 2 pit stops when in fact they've only done 1. I don't know why. I haven't made this website that I'm using, but yeah, it has got a slight bit of a glitch in it. So there we go. Also, Sergio Perez is out of this race. He was running around in last place, and he is now completely out of it. They've decided to retire the car. So can we get an F in the chat for Sergio Perez? That is, very unfortunate. He had, that sprint race he did yesterday from 13th position all the way up to 8th in one singular lap was absolutely crazy. And then going all the way up into 5th position was just a masterclass in overtaking. Very unfortunate to see him out of this race here today. So he's in 20th position and out of the race, and that is that for Sergio Perez's weekend. Right, so here we go then. Everyone has completed their pit stops, and the gap at the front, Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, currently 40 laps remain of this race. We're coming up to the halfway point, and Leclerc is 1.7 seconds behind Max Verstappen. And yeah, we will have to wait and see what happens, but I suspect Leclerc has got a lot of fresher tyres, and he's got them switched on somehow, and he is lapping away very happily against Max Verstappen, and the gap now down to 1.4. So as I speak, it's literally, he's getting within DRS range. So Verstappen is going to feel the pressure very soon. Zhou just set a fastest first sector. It looks like he got a bit of a toe off Alonzo and Tsunoda, and Alonzo, in fact, battling Tsunoda very hard going through into turn number 3. Wow. But yes, Tsunoda under quite a bit of pressure now, side by side into turn number 4 with Fernando Alonso. Does he make that move stick? No, he does not. Tsunoda closes the door on him. Tsunoda's on the inside, defends rather aggressively. Still, it's fair defending, just no penalty awarded for Yuki Tsunoda. But yes, Fernando Alonso will not be happy with that. And Yuki Tsunoda maintains his 17th position, and Alonso is still in 18th. Also, interesting thing, Alonso started the race on hard tyres and went on to hard tyres again. So Alonso has definitely got one more pit stop to do, because you have to use at least 2 compounds. So there we go. Okay, back at the front, we got Verstappen and Leclerc. Half a second is the gap. Going through now into the final sector, going through turn number 9 and 10. This is where the dirty air hurts the most. The gap before the final sector is, we'll ignore that now. Going on to start-finish straight on lap number 34 of 71, we've got Verstappen versus Leclerc, and here they go now. Going into turn number 1, Leclerc gets a very nice exit off turn number 1. Very good drive, and gets into that slipstream and DRS, breezes past Verstappen. Can Verstappen do anything about it? No, he can't. The Dutch fans will not be particularly pleased about that. Verstappen tries to fight back going through into turn number 4. He has the slipstream, of course, and the DRS, and going through, can he make an overtake? No, he can't. He's too far back. So Leclerc has got the lead of this race, and the Ferrari strategy looks to be working, because I'm not sure Verstappen will be able to get to the end of this race on those tyres. So if Leclerc already ahead and Verstappen is yet to do a pit stop, Ferrari have just done a pretty big brain strategy, which you don't hear me say very often. And you don't hear anyone say that very often, in fact. Also, Mick Schumacher getting past Kevin Magnuson. I guess like a little bit of revenge from yesterday where he told the team he was faster, but he couldn't get past. Now, Mick Schumacher up into 6th and Kevin Magnuson in 7th. But that's great to see. We know Kevin Magnuson is a pretty consistent, fast Formula 1 driver. And to see Mick Schumacher be able to overtake him in race conditions is absolutely fantastic and great to see. So, yeah, looking forward to see what Mick Schumacher can do in the upcoming races. We've got Alonso finally overtakes Yuki Tsunoda going through into turn number 3, sorry. And then Tsunoda fights it back into turn number 4, but this time he gets the door slammed on him like Alonso did on the previous occasion. So both drivers just giving back what they got. And yeah, fair racing though between the two of them. And Alonso up into 16th and Tsunoda back down into 17th position. All right, Verstappen 2 seconds behind Leclerc, so Leclerc pretty much running away with this. Got no contention at the front because the gap, I said 2 seconds was the gap. As I said that, the gap is now up to 2.5 seconds. Like it was probably 10 seconds between me talking about the gaps, and the gap increased by half a second. So yeah, Leclerc pulling away absolutely rapidly. And yeah, very crazy indeed. Verstappen says he has inconsistent grip with his tyres. He's not particularly pleased with that, of course. And in fact, Sainz is catching up. We could get a Ferrari 1-2. This is exactly what they needed, in fact. They were currently, let's see how many points behind they are in the championship, but I think it's 62 points they are behind in the championship. Yes, it is 62 points Ferrari are behind in the championship. And with Sergio Perez all the way down, well, Sergio Perez retired. If they score a 1-2, that's going to be massive for them in the Constructors' Championship. And the gap between Leclerc and Verstappen is 44 points currently, and if Verstappen drops down into 3rd position, then that could be at least that's going to be a 10-point advantage to Leclerc from this race. So that'd be a great job there. Well, it'll be a great weekend for Ferrari, but yeah, there's still half the race left to go, and there's still quite a few strategy mistakes that they can make. So yeah. Here we go, 35 laps left. We are coming up to the halfway point of the Austrian Grand Prix. If you guys haven't smashed the like button already, I know I've said it a couple of times, but we've got 17,000 people watching. If you haven't subscribed or liked the stream, that would be absolutely wonderful. So, yeah, we got Kevin Magnuson still within Mick Schumacher's DRS range, so Mick Schumacher hasn't just driven off like Leclerc did. But yeah, Mick Schumacher still under a bit of pressure from Kevin Magnuson, his teammate. Well, in fact, as I say that, Magnuson dips out of the DRS ranges and made a little bit of a mistake coming out of turn number 4. So yeah, both drivers, both Kevin Magnuson and Mick Schumacher struggling into turn number 4, which is the downhill braking zone, of course. And obviously when you're going downhill, gravity is helping you speed up. Which is obviously not what you want when you're braking. So yeah, makes that braking all the more tricky. And here comes Carlos Sainz, in fact. He's caught up to Max Verstappen now, going through into turn number 6 and 7. We've got Sainz all over the back of Max Verstappen. The gap currently 0.7 of a second. Will Sainz be able to catch up and overtake Max Verstappen? All right, I will check if we had any team radio from Sergio Perez when he retired, but yeah, we haven't had too much team radio coming through this weekend. All right, also track limit warning. So Pierre Gasly has been given a 5-second time penalty for track limits. So is Lando Norris. So both of those drivers, so Lando Norris, George Russell, and Pierre Gasly with 5-second time penalties from track limit warnings. So yeah, not great. We've got Verstappen who comes into the pits as well. So it looks like he's having a horrible time with those tyres. Sainz up into 2nd position. So good job there. We've got some team radio from Max Verstappen from a couple of laps ago. Let's have a listen to what you had to say.
One lap behind front group, one lap not. The car's so unpredictable. Really crazy.
Okay, understood.
So that was a lot of static there going through Max Verstappen's mic, but he was saying that the car's very unpredictable. And of course, when you're going through, maybe say it's turn number 9, turn number 10, you just need to have confidence in the car. And well, if the car's being unpredictable, you have no confidence in the car, and that really screws you over. So yeah, very unfortunate there for Max Verstappen. He has to come into the pits once again for hard tyres, and this time I think he will go to the end of this race and try and conserve those hard tyres. We'll have to wait and see. The gap behind from himself to Hamilton is 5.5 seconds. We'll wait and see if Hamilton can close that gap or what happens of that. George Russell, though, in 9th position. He started the race up in 4th position, and now he's back. Now he's in 9th, and Hamilton started the race, I think, in 9th. Hamilton started the race in 8th, and now he's up into 4th. So both Mercedes drivers had a bit of a switch of position, and George Russell, of course, has a 5-second time penalty. So nothing really going in George's favour today, and yeah, not great for the Mercedes team either. Vettel overtakes Valtteri Bottas. Of course, Vettel on the medium tyres, the only driver other than Tsunoda on the mediums. And he's doing a good job there. Overtakes Valtteri Bottas going through into turn number 4 and stays ahead of him. So Bottas still, though, applying quite a bit of pressure, sticks with him right through the middle sector. And we'll wait and see what he can do on the next lap. We've got Zhou overtaking Tsunoda. So Tsunoda in second to last position now with Zhou, who's just breezed past him, to be honest. So, yeah, no chance for Tsunoda to actually get past him. And the AlphaTauri is not having a great weekend, and neither are the Red Bulls. In fact, at the Red Bull Ring, Red Bull are in 3rd position in the DNF, and the AlphaTauris are in 12th and 18th. Not ideal whatsoever. All right, so let's see, 39 laps of 71. We've got some more team radio from Max Verstappen. Let's have a listen to this.
Okay, so Hamilton on lap 9 of his hard tyre stint. Last lap was a 10.0, gap 5 seconds.
Okay, so yeah, he's just basically Christian Horner told him how big the gap was, and Verstappen has immediately gone 0.7 of a second quicker than Lewis Hamilton on this previous lap. So yeah, the gap will not be closing up to Lewis Hamilton, but he could try and close the gap to Carlos Sainz. The thing is, there's 18 laps remaining of this race. 18 seconds, sorry, of the gap between Verstappen and Sainz, and it's going to be pretty tough to close that gap considering we've only got 30 laps. That's going to be half a second every single lap. Looking at his pace, though, he is going quicker than half a second. He's catching Carlos Sainz by more than half a second a lap. So we could see towards the end of this race he catch up to Carlos Sainz. But yeah, both of their tyres are going to start wearing out. We'll have to wait and see who manages them better. Yeah. Also, go ahead and smash the like button, guys. Getting pretty close to 2,500 likes, and everyone that has subscribed very much is appreciated. We're getting pretty close to that goal. Still, obviously, 1,000 away. But yeah, we've nearly gone 1,000 up since the start of the stream as well. So everyone that's subscribed, you're a bunch of absolute legends, really. Yeah, not much else to say about that. All right, Nicholas Latifi has been lapped. Just so you know, we've seen that little 1L thing next to Nicholas Latifi's name. That means he's been lapped. We have got a yellow flag on the track. All right, let's see what's gone on here. Who's going slowly? Oh no, back to green flag racing. Let's just ignore that light and pretend that never happened. But yeah, don't know exactly why we got a yellow flag there. Might just been a little bit of debris, to be honest. But yeah, there we go. All right, Lando Norris all over the back of Kevin Magnuson. Norris did say the McLaren car was faster than the Haas car. So here's time to put that into action. We've got a 3-way battle for 8th position. We've got Norris, for 7th position, sorry. We've got Magnuson, Norris, and Russell. All fighting their way for that 7th place spot. Leclerc currently has got the fastest lap of the race, by the way, so he'll be getting that extra 1 point if no one else pits onto soft tyres or medium tyres to set a fastest lap of the race. All right, we've got Valtteri Bottas, who comes into the pits for the second time in this race. So Valtteri Bottas making his second pit stop of the race, and it looks like we have a 50-50 split between 1 pit stop strategies and 2 pit stop strategies. And yeah, it looks to be the 1 pit stop strategy is slightly faster than 2 pit stop. Pirelli did predict that, and Pirelli are pretty good with their predictions. Right, so 4.1 seconds is the gap between Leclerc and Sainz. That previously, I think, was 5 seconds. So Sainz is getting slightly closer. And Leclerc definitely made a pretty big mistake on the previous lap. Or Sainz was just starting to pick up the pace. But I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. But yeah, Leclerc definitely made a mistake on the previous lap. And that's why Sainz took a 2-second gap out of him. So there we go. George Russell into the pits again for his second pit stop, and we'll be getting quite a few drivers actually coming into the pits now. Let's see, Pierre Gasly's into the pits as well, but we've got Vettel, Bottas, Latifi have all been lapped, so Tsunoda and Russell, and yeah, we're going to get quite a few lappings on this circuit, considering it's only 2.7 miles and the lap time is around about a 1 minute 10. It's going to be quite a few laps. All right, let's see. Yeah, CT Strife, yeah, I will. I'll see if I can change it. The thing is, it's not my website, so I'll have to do some like inspect elementing and stuff to try and change it from out to pit out, but I can definitely give it a shot. I'm pretty good with this computer kind of stuff and fiddling around with it. We've got Vettel in the gravel. That's why we had that safety car, not safety car, yellow flag before, but he had a collision with Pierre Gasly, and he got pushed out on the outside of the track, and Pierre Gasly with another 5-second time penalty. And if I remember correctly, yep, Pierre Gasly has got 2 5-second time penalties. So he's in 17th position with 10 seconds of time penalties total. Vettel got pushed into the gravel by Pierre Gasly and spun around. I mean, Vettel got pushed into the gravel by Alex Albon yesterday as well. So yeah, not a great weekend. Vettel just getting pushed around by the youngsters. And yeah, none of them giving much space really, because Albon got a 5-second time penalty yesterday because of it, and so did Gasly. So yeah, not great. All right, we've got Kevin Magnuson coming into the pits for his second pit stop, and let's see who else is coming to pits. Albon has, so is Latifi, but yeah, that doesn't matter. So there we go. Still in the lead of this race, we have Leclerc and Sainz gap is 4.4 seconds, and that's slightly gone up from the previous time I looked at it, and that's pretty self-explanatory because Leclerc's lap times are 4/10 quicker than Sainz's. Also, gap between Sainz and Verstappen, which was previously 18 seconds, is now down to 16. So he's closing up that gap, but it is rather slow going there for Max Verstappen. All right. So we've got some team radio from Pierre Gasly. Let's see what he's got to say.
Box. Reminder, 5-second time penalty.
Yep, so that's that for George Russell, for Pierre Gasly, sorry. All right, let's see. We've got Valtteri Bottas with the fastest first sector. So yeah, you got a very big toe there from Alex Albon, and has got the fastest first sector. So good job there from Valtteri Bottas. Not much going on. Also, I do want to point out, guys, I will not be able to stream the next 2 races, and there won't even be my stream up. So yeah, rather unfortunate, but I am going on holiday, and the country I'm going on holiday to does not have good internet. So I won't be able to stream for the next 2 races, but I will be back after the summer break. I will probably be posting some shorts or some videos, but unfortunately I can't stream, and I do apologize for that. Yeah, that's it really. Thought I'd say it now while we've got 18,000 people watching, so most of you guys do know. The tire information as well, it's completely wrong. I don't know why it's doing this, because for the previous 2 years I've been using this website, the tire information has always been correct. But yeah, not great there. So yeah. So, all right, back to the race. We've got, let's see who else has made their pit stop. We've got Mick Schumacher, who made his second pit stop. And we've also got Lando Norris, just made his second pit stop. Lots of drivers making their second pit stop, and we'll wait and see if the Ferraris can actually hang out to the end of this race, because if they start driving over the curbs too much, and I mean, looking at Charles Leclerc's lap times, I can't follow him around, of course, but the TV cameras aren't following him around, but looking at his lap times, it looks like he might be driving over those curbs, and not particularly sure how well those hard tyres are going to be holding up for him. And we've got Esteban Ocon coming out of the pits from his second pit stop, and he's in 6th position, so solid job there from Esteban Ocon. He's still maintained that 6th position and that best of the rest sort of place on the grid, and doing a good job there. Also, we've got Lewis Hamilton, who's still yet to pit, by the way. So George Russell will probably be ahead of him. Actually, will he? No, he won't, actually. Hamilton, even if Hamilton pits, he'll come out in 5th position. So, Hamilton in 4th position, sorry. But look at this. Every single driver except for Leclerc, Sainz, Verstappen, Hamilton, and Alonso have not been lapped, sorry. Everyone else has been lapped. I mean, look at this map, right? And Leclerc's about to lap Alonso as well. So everyone is getting lapped. Mick pitted. All right. 3/4 of the grid is lapped, also, everyone that said happy holidays, very much do appreciate it. Just nice to have a bit of a break, really. And I apologize for the fact that I'm missing the streams, but I will be back, and I'll hopefully try and make the streams a much better experience, because now this is pretty good, but obviously there can be improvements made. Your viewer watching experience is top priority. So we'll wait and see what happens there. So Alonso about to get lapped as well. This is not looking good for the grid. I mean, a safety car would be great. A safety car would be absolutely wonderful. That would really make everything a lot more interesting, but it is what it is. The tire information isn't updating. Yes, I know. I can't change anything about that though, because it's coming from the F1 website. I mean, rather strange. I don't know why it's done that. We've also got some team radio from Seb Vettel. He's in 18th position. Let's have a listen.
Sebastian, confirm for same tyre would be up half. 2 clicks up.
Copy, 2 clicks up. Box this up.
All right, so 2 clicks up. Just for you guys who don't know, when F1 cars come in for pit stops, they can actually modify the front wing, like the steepness of the front wing, so they can get more or less downforce on the pit stop itself. Like it takes them like 2 seconds, and they can adjust it all. So that 2 clicks up was just mean once you switch from the hard tires, which I think Vettel was on. Oh no, from the medium tires to the I think Vettel's done 2 pit stops, so he's went from hard to mediums and mediums to mediums. Once he does that, he will have he'll have more front downforce, basically, and as your fuel load gets lighter, you probably want a little bit more front downforce, so you get your car's a little more sharp when turning into the corners. So 2 clicks up just means your flap angle goes up by a bit, and you get a little bit more extra downforce. That's pretty interesting. I never knew that they could. Well, I didn't know until I did know, but it seems really cool how they can adjust the entire front wing in like the space of 2 seconds. Very crazy indeed. I'm just going to refresh this website. Hopefully that will fix the tire numbers and like how old the tires are. But I've refreshed it, and no, we are still getting the completely bugged out tire numbers. So there we go. Oh, also, we are now on lap number 49 of 71, so 20 laps remaining of this race. We've got 8,000 people watching. Wow. Charles should pit. I mean, if Charles pitted now, he'll come up behind Verstappen, but of course he would also have a lot fresher tyres, so I don't know if that's the correct strategy. Ferrari probably just want to play it safe, and I mean, the gap between Verstappen and Sainz is 12 seconds, so you probably don't want to throw away a 12-second gap for no reason. Sonoda pits, which seems... Okay, so Sonoda has... Pit. Oh no, that's never mind. That's a delayed message. We got Zhou in 18th position. I might have had a bit of a spin or something, but he's lost 4 positions in one go. Oh no, he came into the pits for a second pit stop. Whoops, my bad. All right, so let's have a look at the top of the field. We've got Lance Stroll in the points, so that's great to see Aston Martin actually scoring some points. He's only scoring 1 point in 10th position, but nevertheless, points are points. Oh, well, a point is a point because it is only a singular point, but All right. Let's see. Charles Leclerc, in fact, does come into pits. I don't know who said Charles Leclerc should pit. But there he goes. I said he shouldn't pit either, but here comes Charles Leclerc. He's into the pits. He should come out behind 5 seconds behind Max Verstappen, and we'll wait and see what happens with Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz surely has to follow, but the thing is, if he follows, then he's going to... if he follows Carlos Sainz... if Carlos Sainz pits, then there's no way he's going to get past Max Verstappen because there's not enough laps left in the rest of the race. So... yeah, don't know exactly what Ferrari are doing. I'm not a Ferrari strategist, but they're not the smartest people, as far as I can tell. So we've got Leclerc pitting. We'll see what tyres he's out on. But yeah, very odd choice from Ferrari. I guess they were Leclerc's out on hard tyres again for some reason, or it might have not updated. But never. Point being, they might be protecting for a safety car. Like if a safety car came out, Leclerc would be screwed. So they've kind of protected against that. And yeah, I can confirm Leclerc is on hard tyres. So they were kind of just protecting him if another safety car did come out. And well, yeah, better to be safe than sorry, I guess. But we've now got Leclerc, Stroll in for a second pit stop. So everyone has made a second pit stop. Oh, Sainz pits as well. Okay, so Leclerc's catching up to Verstappen pretty much immediately. The gap was 5 seconds when he came out. It's now 2.5 seconds. He's literally half the gap. Very insane. And the gap between Verstappen and Sainz is 7.2 seconds. So he's got 21 laps to close that up. So that's a third of a second lap if he wants to do it on the last lap of the race. But I suspect he will want to do it a little bit quicker than that. 2.3 seconds is the gap. Zhou with another fastest first sector. Look at that toe he got off Seb Vettel. Absolutely mega. Sends one down the inside. Can he make it stick on Seb Vettel? Yes, he does. Squeezes past on the inside there. And Guan Yu Zhou up into 17th position. Back up at the front, though, the gap, which was originally 2.5 seconds, which I told you about probably 20 seconds ago, and now it's down to 1.6 seconds. Those fresh hard tyres really doing some absolute wonders for Charles Leclerc. And here he goes then, coming up onto the back of Max Verstappen, going through turn number 1 now. He's going to get some very good drive. No DRS just yet because he's just out of the DRS range. But on the next lap, he will be right on his tail. So we are on lap 52 of 71. 20 laps remain. Lewis Hamilton comes in for his pit stop, and the only driver yet to make their second pit stop is Fernando Alonso, who's done a brilliant job managing those tyres. And I suspect he's going to stay out for a little bit longer because he's the only driver that's started the race on the hard tyres and then continued on the hard tyres, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Fernando Alonso doing a good job there on those hard tyres. He'll come in and he'll be on the mediums, which will mean he will have obviously a lot more pace. All right, so here it is, battle between Leclerc and Verstappen, and Leclerc's pace is so much quicker than Verstappen. Even with Dirty Aries catching him, Verstappen might get a little bit of a DRS and a slipstream from the traffic ahead of him, but I don't think that's going to help him in any way because Leclerc's Ferrari is absolutely in another league right now. So going down the straight, 3/10 of the gap. I think Leclerc might just make the move into turn number 1. No, he doesn't. He actually backs off the accelerator. It's very obvious that he did that because he wants the DRS going down the next straight, which he does get. And it sweeps past him, and there's already, half the straights left, and Leclerc's already passed Verstappen. Verstappen tries to fight it, but he knows that there's literally nothing he can do. The pace that Leclerc has is absolutely unmatchable. But Verstappen got the DRS going down into turn number 4, and now they are side by side going down into turn number 4, the downhill braking zone, and Verstappen has backed out of it. Leclerc goes into the lead of this race, and half a second is the gap, and there's no looking back now. Leclerc's got the lead, and the gap and I think Leclerc might just do a little bit of a helping hand for Carlos Sainz and block Max Verstappen a bit. So Carlos Sainz can catch up, but there's a bit of traffic to contend with as well. We got Leclerc in first position, Max Verstappen in second, and Pierre Gasly in Pierre Gasly. I mean, Carlos Sainz in third. Also, Still I Rise 45, 88, 85. Thank you for the donation. Do very much appreciate it. And yeah, hammer time for Lewis. He's on those mediums, and who has he got ahead of him? He's got a 32-second gap to catch up to Carlos Sainz. So I think that fourth place position is pretty secure there for Lewis Hamilton. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. All right, actually for fifth place, we've got a three-way fight for fifth place. We've got Ocon versus Alonso versus Russell, and I suspect the Alpine duo are going to play the team game here. And Ocon will try and give Alonso a bit of a tow so he can stay ahead of Russell, but apparently that's not the case. And Ocon's just run off into the distance, and now Alonso's got I think like 20 lap old hard tyres to fend against a charging George Russell. So let's see how this goes. Going through now into turn number 1. Russell right on Alonso's tail. He gets a little bit of a slingshot going down that going down the next straight with the slipstream. And we're halfway down the straight, and Russell is whizzed past Fernando Alonso. So there goes George Russell into turn number 3. Alonso doesn't fight it. I mean, he doesn't have the tyres to fight it, to be honest. But he does have DRS going down this straight. Will he be able to come back against George Russell going down into turn number 4? No, he will not. Fernando Alonso has given up on that fight, and he is currently in 7th position. Thing is now, his tyres are pretty much dead, but if he comes into the pits, he's going to come out probably outside of the points. So he might as well just try and stick it out on those hard tyres for as long as possible. Oh, no, he can't actually do that because he's against the rules. The rules state that you need to be on at least 2 compounds for the entire race, and Fernando Alonso has only been on the hard tyres. So he has to go into the pits for medium tyres. And yeah, all right. Also, Yash has said keep the fastest lap stat up somewhere. If you look at which driver has a purple number, like a purple box next to their number, that's the driver that has the fastest lap of the race. So that is that. So yeah, if you guys didn't know, then now you know. All right, Carlos Sainz has got the fastest lap of the race. He's caught up to Max Verstappen. So if he can make this overtake stick, he's got 15 laps to make this overtake stick. So the gap currently at 1.3 seconds. With Carlos Sainz got a lot of momentum from his fastest lap of the race, and I suspect that he'll be making an overtake on Max Verstappen very, very soon. I apologise for the glitching, of course, on the map. Hopefully it gets fixed. But yeah, Carlos Sainz catching up to Max Verstappen, and if he does make this overtake, then it will be a Ferrari 1-2 if there aren't any more incidents in the remaining 15 laps of this race. All right. So let's see, Leclerc with the fastest middle sector. Nice job there from Leclerc. I mean, the middle sector's 2 hairpins in turn 5 and 6. So yeah, Leclerc's still got quite a bit of tyre life left in his, and I think he's going for fastest lap of the race here because he saw that Carlos Sainz took that away from him, and Leclerc wants those points for the championship, of course. So he's trying to go to get that. We'll wait and see what happens there, but the gap between Sainz and Verstappen is half a second now going down the straight. Can Sainz get close enough? In fact, this time he does not get close enough. He might be playing it safe and going for the overtake into turn 4 so Verstappen can't fight back. But yeah, rather strange there. This is very much glitching out, and I don't know exactly why. Yeah, hopefully the glitching out reduces, but yeah, I can't really think of any plausible reason for why that's happening. Yeah, this map isn't ideal. Well, I mean, it's been performing great for the past couple of for the past times I've using it. But yeah, it's just stopped doing that. But oh well, it is what it is. We've got 14 laps left of this race, and we're now getting dangerously we're getting Carlos Sainz getting dangerously close to Max Verstappen. Carlos Sainz's GPS tracker's broken. He's not actually stuck at turn number 4. I'm pretty sure about that. Because it says that he's right on the... Oh no, he's in fact, Carlos Sainz is stuck. Is Carlos Sainz stuck? Wait, oh no. Ferrari were doing so well. They were doing so well. No. One sec. If Ocon overtakes Hamilton, Carlos Sainz is stuck in the gravel, I think, or something's happened. But we have a yellow flag. Oh no, Carlos Sainz Ferrari engine. The Ferrari engine is gone. Carlos Sainz is. Yeah, that's it. F's in the chat, guys. Can we get some heartbreak emojis in the chat as well, because we've got Carlos Sainz, who is going to get a second position, and the Ferrari engine has given up, and he is out of this race. It's engine blowing up. We got a virtual safety car on the track, so let's just do that. There we go, virtual safety car. But Carlos Sainz is now out of this race because of an engine failure. Not ideal in the slightest there for Ferrari. They were, their points tally was going up significantly, and their advantage against Red Bull was going to be pretty mega on this race weekend. But what can you do when the Ferrari engine gives up? The Ferrari engine, you can't do much about that. I mean, we've got Alonso coming into the pits, Leclerc and Verstappen in the pits. Ooh, this is interesting. We got Leclerc and Verstappen coming into the pits. So let's see what tyres they're on. And then also we had Alonso come into pits. Alonso actually benefited from this quite a lot because of the fact that it says out there. All right, once Leclerc comes out on the. Once he crosses the first sector line, it'll go back to the number of laps. There we go. But Fernando Alonso, if he came into the pits usually when it wasn't a virtual safety car, he would have been out of the points. But here he is in 9th position. So Fernando Alonso doing benefiting from this virtual safety car. And let's look at the tyres then. Which tyres are the drivers on? So Leclerc and Verstappen both on medium tyres, just looking now to get to the end of the race. And one of the drivers will be trying to set the fastest lap of the race. So we'll wait and see. The gap is 5.1 seconds. There is a feasible chance that Verstappen could actually try and catch up for the final bits of this race. He could actually try and send one down the inside maybe. We will have to wait and see. The gap, 4.3 seconds. It's changing quite a bit, in fact. I'm not sure exactly why. It might be because of the virtual safety car. Probably is, actually. We've got Magnuson and Norris also going... Oh, no, never mind. That was just the GPS glitching out again. But... yeah, gap around about 5 seconds, and if the virtual safety car comes in like the next lap or maybe a lap after that, that will give Max Verstappen 10 laps to close a 5-second gap, which he definitely could because the Red Bull is technically slightly faster in terms of race pace. And we know Verstappen can, he's got all of his Dutch fans here, and we have green flag racing. The virtual safety car is in, and Max Verstappen has got a 4.3 second gap to close in 11 laps of this race. All right. Let me know your predictions. In fact, I'll just make a poll. Who wins the race, Leclerc or Verstappen? Who wins Leclerc or Verstappen? Let me know in the poll. But yeah, the gap 4.3 seconds, and Verstappen has got 11 laps to close it up. So we'll wait and see. Fernando Alonso down into 14th position. He's lost 5 positions in a row there. What's happened to Fernando Alonso? Not exactly sure there. He did come in for a pit stop and he was out in 9th position. So don't know what happened there. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, there was smoke coming out of Carlos Sainz's car. And then he was told to stop the car, of course. So that was that. All right. And Verstappen has got to move on, and so has Charles Leclerc. Verstappen with a fastest middle sector and fastest third sector. Leclerc tried to set the fastest third sector, which he did successfully, and Verstappen stole that away from him immediately. So 0.3 of a second, 4/10 of a second, Verstappen's already gotten 1 lap. And Carlos Sainz's car was on fire. They had the fire extinguishers, and Carlos Sainz with no issues there. He's totally fine. But yeah, the car catching on fire, which is very strange to see, because there wasn't any broken fuel tank like there was in Grosjean's crash. But Carlos Sainz is totally fine, and his car has been his car's been extinguished. All right, back to the race though. 10 laps remain, and we have Leclerc with a narrow lead over Max Verstappen. We'll wait and see who goes on to set the fastest lap of the race, but this is the fastest first sector from fastest second sector from Charles Leclerc. Now it's the fastest second sector from Max Verstappen. I suspect we're going to be seeing this rather often because the Red Bull has a slightly faster race pace compared to the Ferraris, and Leclerc will be, he'll be very conscious of the fact of that the Red Bulls are quicker in race trim. And he will be doing his utmost best to try and keep Max Verstappen behind and keep that pace up as much as he can. On the previous lap, 0.2 was the gap that he closed up. Russell overtakes Esteban Ocon, so now it's a Mercedes 3-4. And yeah, with the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz retiring and the Red Bull of Sergio Perez, Lewis Hamilton is onto the podium. So there we go. And Haas are getting double points. McLaren are getting double points if it stays this way. Absolutely wonderful to see. And yeah, especially the Haas team, 6th and 7th, and Schumacher ahead of Magnuson. That is great. All right, Verstappen closing in the gap on Leclerc once again. Alonso's got the fastest first sector now. He's pretty much in qualifying territory at this point with that much of a slipstream. Fernando Alonso set like a fastest first sector, which would have been the fastest in quali as well. Absolutely rapid pace there from Fernando Alonso. All right, fastest second sector there from Max Verstappen. Leclerc's got the Leclerc previously set the fastest lap of the race, then Verstappen took that away from him. Leclerc once again has now set the fastest lap of the race. Let's see what Verstappen can do when he crosses the line. That is taken away from him. So Leclerc is setting fastest laps of the race, and every single time Verstappen crosses the line, Verstappen just takes that away from him. So we will wait and see what happens now. The gap down to 3.4 seconds. We have 7 laps remaining of this race. And let's see, is there any traffic ahead of him? Leclerc's got traffic of Daniel Ricciardo and Kevin Magnuson potentially. But he's definitely got Daniel Ricciardo as traffic. We'll wait and see what happens there. Does he get held up by any of the drivers? All right, so this is it, 3.4 seconds. There isn't much action going on in the rest of the race, really. Alonso's overtaking Gasly, and Norris has overtaken Magnuson. Well, that's actually quite a bit of action, but Norris doing a good job there on Magnuson, and an overtake at turn number 4. I don't have the replay, but yeah, Norris up into 7th and Magnuson in 8th. And the gap, in fact, is extended. Leclerc's going faster than Verstappen at this stage in the race. So, the battle that we hoped for. I mean, if you remember back to 2019, we had Leclerc and Verstappen chasing each other down. I think it was Leclerc chasing down Verstappen for the lead of the race. With 2 laps to go, he made that overtake in 2019. So, you never know. We could see Leclerc make a mistake. We could see Leclerc's engine have a little bit of an issue like Carlos Sainz's did. But yeah, so this is it now. How many laps remain? 7 laps remain of this race, and we've got Max Verstappen 3.6 seconds behind Charles Leclerc in the lead of the race. All right, I'll just go through the time penalties. Norris, I think, has got a 5-second time penalty. I think, we'll have to have a look at all of the penalties because there was quite a lot of them. Gasly has a 10-second time penalty, but he's already out of the points, so it doesn't really matter. Right, let's have a look. Let's see. Yeah, Norris has a 5-second time penalty, and I will just have a quick look through the rest of them. But so Norris, if he has a 5-second time penalty, he's going to drop down into 8th position. So he's got to extend a 5-second gap ahead of Kevin Magnuson if he wants to actually keep that position. George Russell has a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision at the start of the race. I think he got a collision penalty for that. I'm not sure. Oh no, he served that penalty. Oh yeah, no, they probably served the penalty in the pit lane. It doesn't matter because they got the penalties at the start of the race, and once they come into the pits, they do a 5-second pit stop. They do wait in the pits for 5 seconds and then do their pit stop. So nobody actually has any active penalties on the track. So wherever they finish on the racetrack now is wherever they end up at the end, in terms of the standings. So no penalty situation right now. So that is that. Bottas overtakes Albon to go into the points. So nice overtake there from Valtteri Bottas going through into turn number 3. Albon fights him back though into turn number 4. Can he make that stick round the outside? No, he cannot. Alex Albon settles in behind Valtteri Bottas for 11th position. So that is that. We've now got 6 laps left till the end of the race. Charles Leclerc still holding that advantage over Max Verstappen, and it looks like Verstappen's closed the gap up slightly, but it is very much hovering around that 3.5 second range, and it's going to be quite a while. It's going to take some sort of pretty big mistake if that gap is going to come down. I mean, we've seen it before. Leclerc, under no pressure of his own, no pressure from anyone else, he lost 2 seconds on a single lap. So if that can happen, then that 2 second gap can go down to that 3.5 second gap can go down to 1.5, and that will be, well, that'll be pretty good for the racing, won't it? But all right, we've got both Hasses in the points, both McLarens in the points. Mercedes probably might have been one of their highest scoring weeks, in fact. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it might be one of the highest scoring weeks for Mercedes this weekend. And yeah, definitely not the highest scoring weeks for Red Bull and Ferrari because they both had 1 DNF each. What happened to Sainz? Sainz had I should probably put that on the session summary here. Session summary, Sainz with a engine failure. Sainz with an engine failure, and what did Perez get? Perez just retired. Yeah, there we go. All right. I'll probably get rid of this as well. Ooh. There we go. So back to the race though. Gap, which was 3.5 down to 2.9. It looks like Leclerc was just slower in all 3 sectors, and Verstappen closed that gap right up by 0.6 of a second in a single lap. It's now 2.9 seconds, so good job there. There are 4 laps left of this race. I mean, it might be slightly too late, I dare to say, but I'd love to see a little battle on the final lap of the race. What happened to Latifi? I think they just retired him because he was so slow. He had to do an extra pit stop, and then he was going to get lapped twice. So they just retired him to save parts and stuff, I guess, and mileage. So that's that. Right, the gap back down to 2.7, so it's getting closer and closer. I don't know what happened to Leclerc's pace, or if he wore out his tires too much or something, because Verstappen is getting pretty close. Let's see, 66% of you think that Leclerc's going to win, 34% of you think Verstappen's going to win. Right, well, let's end that poll. We've got now 3 laps remaining, and going through. Oh, that's what it was. They hit traffic. Leclerc hit traffic of Lando Norris and Mick Schumacher, and that's what closed the gap up. So it wasn't anything in terms of pace, really. It's just traffic being getting in the way. But yeah. Norris and Russell don't have a 5-second time penalty. I can confirm. They got their penalties at the start of the race, and they came in for a pit stop. And you have to serve your penalties, I think. So yeah, definitely not got any penalties, any of the drivers. I will double check to be completely sure, but I'm 99% sure. Also, we have some team radio from Charles Leclerc. Leclerc said, what's happening with the throttle pedal? So Leclerc having some issues. Let's listen to his radio.
And from data, everything is fine on the throttle pedal?
Yeah, it's okay now.
Copy.
Okay, so Leclerc just having a slight scare on the throttle pedal, but they checked through the data and everything is doing all right. Yeah, there we go. Also, guys, we're 750 subscribers away from the goal, and we've got 20,000 of you watching. So if you haven't smashed that like button or subscribed, it would be very much appreciated. And yeah, hopefully we can hit the goal, and that would be absolutely wonderful. But let's get back to this race now. We've got 2 laps remaining, and the gap is still 3 seconds. Looking further down the field, there is no overtaking opportunities, really. Everyone's sort of just spread out. And yeah, it is what it is. All right. So let's get back on track now. Final lap of the race, Leclerc crosses the line now for the final time at the Red Bull Ring. And yeah, he's done a pretty solid race, to be honest. The Ferrari strategy has played off. They played it safe, protected for the fact that there might be a safety car. The virtual safety car came. They didn't lose their minds. They didn't do some stupid strategy like stay out on the hard tires. And Leclerc done a good job managing this race, and he is 2.6 seconds ahead of Max Verstappen. There is no traffic in his way. Going through turn 5, 6, and 7 now. Leclerc has done a pretty solid job indeed. Gap going down to 2.5, but unless Leclerc gets a massive slap of overstay coming out the final 2 corners, I think the deal has been sealed. All right, so here we go then. Leclerc coming out the second to last corner, and the final corner now. He activates DRS and crosses the finish line. Charles Leclerc wins the Austrian Grand Prix. What a race there from Charles Leclerc. And Max Verstappen comes home in second position, and Lewis Hamilton 40 seconds behind the leaders. 40 full seconds. That is absolutely crazy indeed. Yeah, I don't know what to say, really. 40 seconds is the gap between Leclerc and Verstappen. That's how much of a different league they're in. Is there one more lap? I'm pretty sure there's not one more lap. It says 71 out of 71. Unless this is the final lap. I mean... Oh no, apparently there's one more lap. Great, I'm a professional... I messed this up in yesterday's stream as well. I'm a professional commentator, guys. Well, this is why I'm not a professional commentator, because I called the race one lap early. But yeah, Leclerc still 1.8 seconds ahead of Verstappen, so gap not getting any closer. And here he goes now, comes out the final corner, and this time Leclerc actually wins the Austrian Grand Prix for 2022, and Verstappen 1.5 seconds behind Charles Leclerc, and that's a pretty good race for Max Verstappen, considering his hard tyres were very weird. He couldn't get any grip whatsoever, so that's 25 points for for Charles Leclerc, and 19 points for Max Verstappen, 18 for second position, and 1 for the fastest lap of the race. And then Lewis Hamilton in third position, 40 behind the leaders. I mean, that is very crazy indeed. And we've got George Russell in fourth place. I think this is one of the highest scoring weekends for Mercedes. We've got Ocon in fifth, sealing that fourth fastest car for Alpine. Obviously, they need to sort out that reliability, because both of them had engine issues, of course, this weekend. And then we have double points scoring for Haas and double points for McLaren. You'll love to see it. And then we've got Fernando Alonso to round out the top 10. So pretty solid weekend to be honest with you guys. And yeah, very heartbreaking there for Carlos Sainz. I mean, how many laps were left? There were like 9 laps left, and Carlos Sainz was out of this race. Oh no, it wasn't 8, it was like 10 or something, but that's besides the point. Carlos Sainz was very much on his way for a second place finish, and yeah, unfortunately he lost out big time because of that, because of the reliability of the Ferrari engine. Yeah. All right, guys, it's been a pleasure commentating to you. The chat has been absolutely wonderful. There hasn't been that much spam. Even when I've asked for like F's in the chat and stuff, you've all been pretty good. I will let you know who driver of the day is, but let me know who your driver of the day is in the chat. Personally, I'd probably say Mick Schumacher. He's just done a great job overtaking. He's done defending, attacking, and done solid job there for Haas, and coming up in 6th position. I mean, Fernando Alonso's done a great job as well, starting the race down in last on the grid, all the way up into 10th. But I think Alonso got slightly lucky there with that virtual safety car. And yeah. All right, we got Leclerc's radio after he won the race, so let's have a listen.
MP1! Yes, sir! Yes! Yes, come on! Oh my God! I was scared. I was really scared. Yes!
Amazing job. No words.
Yep. Charles Leclerc has done it. What a race. All right. How about post-race radio with Mick Schumacher? That hasn't come through yet, and I don't think it will because they only do like 1 or 2 drivers. But yeah, wow. So thank you everyone for tuning in. We've still got 13,000 people watching. I will not be streaming for the next 2 races, unfortunately. So there is the website that I use for the timing data is called f1.tfeed.net. So if you want to go use that, then go ahead. But obviously there's no commentary, so yeah, I will be back after the summer break. I'll be posting some shorts, I think, if I get time. I'll maybe making some videos, and yeah, it's been a pretty good weekend, to be honest. A sprint race as well. I think that was pretty good. I mean, in terms of the sprint race weekend, I think it's been pretty successful. They maybe shouldn't do it every single weekend, maybe like 1 or 2 races a year. But yeah, I think the sprint races are here to stay. Definitely not for every single race though. Multi Ninja 888, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, nice to see that you're back, and yeah, we'll see you guys later. And yeah. Yeah, I mean, everyone needs a holiday, to be honest. Life is pretty rough. Yeah. All right. Yeah, my subs are nearly there. I mean, we've got 500 left. If you guys want to subscribe, then go ahead. And yeah. All right. I think that will be today's stream, guys. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Do appreciate all of the support as always. And yeah, it's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. I hope you have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world. And I will see you guys in after the summer break in Belgium. The website is f1.tfeed.net. So you just type that into the top URL thing and you'll find that there. But yeah, I will see you guys later.